Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for Eden Zero, Chapter 79. Okay, so first things first, I gotta talk about the hilarious cover page with Moscow dressed in a flak jacket, wearing a headpiece communicator, sunglasses, and holding what's, I guess, like a sniper or automatic rifle. And just the image alone, just that one image is fucking glorious. Like, it is absolutely, like, it is. I was laughing my freaking ass off at how I was just laughing my ass off at how both hilarious and yet somehow still badass that was. Like, it was one of those things where, yeah, obviously obviously it was intended. The cover page itself, it was intended for a lot more of the hilarious purposes, but at the same time, there is kind of a badass quality to it of Moscow, like being like in a soldier sniper rifle kind of outfit. And like it's basically like he's basically the fat version of, like, I don't know, Solid Snake or something like that. And yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, because of this, Mashima, I want him in that actual outfit and seeing him fight with that fucking rifle at some point. Like, it just, it needs to happen now. Mashima, don't screw with me. Do that shit. Like, put that outfit on Moscow at some point and get him in a fight with that gear. I kid you not. I kid you not. That will be the most hyped thing. That will be the most hilariously hyped thing if Mashima does that in the actual manga. I will love him forever as a mangaka if he does that. Like, really. Um, Now, getting into the chapter itself, though, it starts pretty much with Drac and Joe locking Rebecca up with Prunisha Lobelia, and soon after confronted by Daichi, the Earth Elemental member of the Element Four. And yeah, obviously the thing to talk about with that is his powers are very reminiscent of basically Hot Eye or Richard Buchanan from Fairy Tail. But one thing that really in but one thing I guess that really intrigues me about the fight itself, or the fight setup with it itself, is that because the setup in itself takes place in such a confined space, it lends itself to a lot more intricate and precise maneuvers in the fight. And so so basically, if this is like if this is going to be if this is obviously set up for like Daichi and Rebecca in order to face off, and because of that, there's some legitimate it's going to be like a very it's going to be a very interesting fight in the sense where Rebecca is going to be very precise and very precise with basically every move she makes against Daichi. If her powers are if Daichi's powers are to basically control, like, or control the pretty much density of the basically of the entire cell itself. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how Rebecca is going to fight against Daichi, and how she maneuvers around with the cell. Or and obviously obviously there's probably going to be a little fan service with it too. I'm just saying, like, Mash is probably going to use fan service in some form or another with this fight because of Daichi's powers. But yeah, and but but even looking past that, if we're lucky enough, we might, like, this setup in itself is obviously going to be for Rebecca versus Daichi. But if we're lucky enough, we might even see, well, pretty much Lobelia join in the fight alongside Rebecca as well at some point during this encounter. And yeah, you have no idea how much I want that to happen right now, because the thing is, Daichi and, like, or sorry, Lobelia and well, pretty much Lobelia and Rebecca have just been like adversaries at every turn. So, like, I'm kind of pushing for that one, at least that one moment that pretty much says, okay, let's squash the bullshit between us and fight and fight together as equals or as allies. Like, just Lobelia, please, whatever happens, just please squash the bullshit. That just for once. That's all I'm asking. Just squash it once and just work with Rebecca or something like that, just in some manner. Um, And yeah, the battle with Shiki versus Jin and Homura versus Sylph. So yeah, the battles with Shiki versus Jin and Homura versus Sylph continue, and between these two fights, we get a greater sense that pretty much the two siblings, like as it's shown, the two siblings definitely have a well, the two siblings definitely have powers that pretty much complement each other. Like pretty much one like both their powers are basically opposites of each other, and yet at the same time those opposites pretty much complement each other perfectly. And in that's and because of that, I could there's kind of this yin yang theme going on with them right now for me, in the sense where while they have the same core powers, their abilities again have opposite purposes. Jin is more offensive and destructive, or obstructive, I guess as he put it, whereas with Sylph, her abilities aren't her. When you really look at Sylph's abilities, her abilities aren't necessarily combat oriented. They're basically used in order to protect herself, and very defense based. Plus plus personality wise, when you pretty much see the two of them, like I guess they're both like even though even though even though Jin has his calm moments, he still kind of very much comes off as a lot more hostile, whereas Sylph is a much more calmer individual than her brother. So in that sense, it's basically again feeding into the whole yin and yang narrative. It's the whole freaking it's whole peaceful mind versus negativity kind of thing almost going on with them. Now, do I think this was an intentional comparison, and that Mashima like he even knew he was possible he was even like he even had the whole yin yang thing in mind when he was doing this? Probably not. I Probably not. I think this is just something I've noticed. Um, but it's some probably not, but it is something I definitely feel like is there in some form or another. Or perhaps if you want to look at it from another analogy, it would be again like they're pretty much two sides of the same coin, and presented as though like their powers each have a certain strength, but each strength, but pretty much together they pretty much compensate for the other's weaknesses too, pretty much. Um, and I think that that's actually going to be the biggest flaw with them being split up, is that because their powers complement each other, the weaknesses of their powers are going to be a lot easier in order to notice. Um, and so I guess one thing obviously about this chapter is the fan service as well, and like when I was reading this chapter, I was reading it on a site where pretty much compliments where you can kind of add comments where you can add comments after reading the chapter. And yeah, the comments were a little negative about the fan service. Um, so, but for me personally, when it comes to Mashima's the only style of fan service, the only reason I disliked Fairy Tail's fan service is because it was done at much more random times and without much purpose. But with Eden Zero, I feel he's gotten maybe a little bit better at I feel a little bit better using it with much more purpose and much more reasoning behind it. And it's not just happening for no reason. Like I think he does have, like, as weird as it is to say, I think there is purpose behind the fan service he uses in Eden Zero. Um, but of course, getting away from that, now obviously aside from the fan service though, the bigger thing to talk about is that Mashima is still making sure to keep focus on Weiss in the state he's in. And while I definitely don't think that Weiss is going to die, I think the reason Mashima keeps showing us like Weiss him being bedridden is because it's still going to be a scenario where when they finally do get the medicine to Weiss, it's going to be hitting close to the mark. It's going to be a hitting very close to the mark kind of moment. Like Weiss is going to be at the very edge of death before he's fully cured. So even when he is, I have a feeling there's going to be some manner of permanent damage to his body because of it. But, yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Mr. Crunchyroll. Death Knight and me, signing off. Later, guys.